Welcome to this edition of Capital Update. I'm your host, Matt Swenson. This is State Representative Roger Reinert. Welcome, Roger.
Thank you, Matt.
It's good to have you in the studio, sir, and it's good to have you folks tune in Duluth to hear what's happening here at the State Capitol and to hear what Representative Reinert is doing on your behalf. And you folks are out the door working real hard right from the very beginning of session to put Minnesotans back to work.
Well, it's been interesting. Last year was my first year in the legislature, and there was a lot of adjusting to do, a huge learning curve. So, a lot of folks have been asking me this year, how is this year compared to last? And, the challenges are still huge, and they continue to be. In a future show, we should talk just about the structural budget deficit issue. But, for me personally, the session's been easier just because I have an understanding of the process and, the challenges of being 2.5 hours away from home and those sort of things. But we are off to a fast start. I've told a lot of folks at home, I said, last year it felt like it took us about a month and a half to really sort of get into a high-speed mode, and this year it took a day. We started essentially January 6th. We had steady committee hearings leading up to the opening of the session. One of the clear goals coming into this session was to get a bonding bill done right away and to address a fix for the general assistance medical care issue right away. And both of those issues have been addressed already in the first 2 weeks of the session. So when I say that the legislature is moving 90 miles an hour this year, that really is the case. It's been impressive to see how quickly we can act when we have some clear goals, tangible things we want to get done.
And you spoke about the challenges that Minnesota is facing right now. Obviously, the biggest challenge we're facing is a lack of jobs. 220,000 Minnesotans unemployed. Another 20,000 have given up looking for jobs. Another 90,000 have taken part-time jobs at a fraction of the salary they used to earn. And that's why it's so important to pass this bonding bill early and get Minnesotans back to work.
Well, specifically, we in Duluth have been fortunate that we've been under the state and the national average on unemployment. And that's in large part due to the diversification of the economy. But one of the places that has really suffered has been the trades areas. We have 50% unemployment from people who work in the construction trades. And that's a place where the bonding bill can definitely help. And, the one thing that we really have to be clear on is there's only one thing the state does that actually creates jobs. There's lots of things the state does that can help or hinder job creation. But the only thing it does that actually creates jobs is the bonding bill. So, this year, more so than any other year, we ought to look at a vigorous bonding bill. Now, we've been through the process of both the House and the Senate putting together a bonding bill that totaled about $1 billion. It came out of conference committee this past Monday. The governor right away threatened a veto. He seems to be in veto mode on just about everything this year. And so what we've decided to do is not send him the bill, to hold it in the legislature and have opened a new round of negotiations with him. Now, it'll be really important for us in Duluth to watch how those negotiations go, because there are a number of critical projects, and probably the top of that list, the top of that list is the sanitary sewer overflow project. We need to watch where that is going to go in a new round. It was in the original bill. Where will it be in this new round of negotiations? Right behind that, I consider to be the airport project. We did phase 1 last year. Phase 2 is an $11 million request that leverages about $45 million in federal funds. In fact, it's the number one project in the bill in terms of how many other dollars it leverages in terms of construction. And then we have the Health Sciences Building at Lake Superior College, and of course the American Indian Learning Center at UMD. And those are the big things that we're trying to follow as we essentially hit the reset button on the bonding bill after the governor's threatened veto. And I think, I want to call people's attention to the fact that the legislature is taking that really proactive stance. It would have been easy to send the bill over and say, this is what we think we ought to do, let the governor veto it, and then have kind of a big rah-rah, try and override the governor's veto sort of night. And, I don't know that that's productive for anyone. It's much better for us to, hold on to the bill. Both Representative Hausman and Senator Langseth, who chair the bonding committee, sent the governor a letter and said, we're willing to do this, but tell us what you will support, tell us what you won't support, and tell us that you'll sign a bonding bill. And so we received a letter back from the governor that did those sorts of things. So I think we're going to have good support on reworking that bill and finding a compromise with the governor so that we can get a bill signed, we can get projects let, we can get ground broken within 90 days and get people working.
Absolutely, and obviously a lot of challenging work ahead here this session. I hope you'll continue coming back into the studio, Representative Reinert,
Absolutely.
and let us know what's happening. Thanks for tuning in for a Capital Update. We'll see you next time.